Well, you might be wondering why I'm racing through the pits and not waiting at the start line like the rest of my racing videos. Today at Rouch World was quite the adventure. Started off as any normal day, warming up the bike, got all geared up, waiting at the line, and as the first rows were going, my bike would not start. I noticed maybe a little bit of a bog as I was sitting there warming it up. By the time row one was going, that thing was not lighting off. So I knew there was a big problem. Shout out to my dad and his buddy Al and his son trying to bump start me at the line, get me going. And then eventually there was 5 or 6 people who had their hands in this bike trying to get it started, but unfortunately, she just wasn't gonna go. Shout out to Michigan Rips, I think who that was, helping me push it back to the truck. But at that point I was pissed. I was just throwing my stuff all over the ground. But I started tearing into it because I wanted to know what was wrong with it. I really had no indication at this point what was wrong, so I figured first place I'd check was the spark plug. Got it all torn down looking at the plug, and it for sure was fouled. We tried sparking it against the case and it wasn't lighting up at all. We did shove a screwdriver in there to ground it against the case, and there definitely was spark. We almost could guarantee you that it was spark plug issue. Luckily, there was a gentleman selling oil underneath a tent right next to us, and he had one BR8 ES left that my dad went and bought, and yeah, we put it back in the bike. I went to go hit the starter, click, because I was trying to turn it over for so long without any charging getting put back into the system through the stator, so obviously the battery was dead. Tried bump starting it one more time. No good, but it's like, okay, cool, I've got jumper cables in my truck, we'll just pop the hood open real quick. I'm on the bike, my dad's in my truck about to start it, we got the jumper cables hooked up. It's like, okay, go ahead. Click, truck's dead. I have no idea why it was dead, but it has done this before, seemingly at a bike event. I'm like beside myself at this point. And unfortunately, I did not film any of this. Thankfully, my dad's friend was parked right across from me, jumped my truck, jumped my bike, and I had all my gear on. I took one sip of water from my dad, and then I raced back to the start line. And I think at that point, I was about 40 minutes late. What's crazy about this is on paper, this was my best finish yet. I got a 16th place. There were 18 entries, and it looked like 2 DNFs. Obviously, I was last place still, but I got 16. But what's even crazier is looking at my lap times. My lap 2 and lap 3 times would put me at around a 10th or 11th place. So I'm really bummed about that. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty good race, pretty good showing. Didn't hurt myself at all. Maybe just my ego a little bit. One thing I want to shout out is Adam's podcast. He was working this round. You'll see him right before the rock section. I did a podcast with him 2 weeks ago, going over the polka dots Hare Scramble, and then just this last weekend, going over the Rouch World extravaganza with the GasGas. I'll have that linked at the top of the description, so please go check that out and support him. He's a really good guy and puts on a good show. Stick around to the end where I will be fixing the problem that led to the fouling plug on my bike, and we will get this thing back up and going because I've got a ride tomorrow. So be sure to stick around to the end to check that out.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, bud. fuck? Ow. Oh, thank God.
I'm going to start by removing this cover. Then I will be taking the plug off the throttle position sensor. I will be sticking some paper clips down through the weather sealing on this plug so I can hook up to it with my multimeter. Let me know what you think about the quality of this video. I just picked up a brand new camera, hopefully to elevate the production quality of this channel. Then I'll tap the starter and you will see a voltage come across on my multimeter. That voltage is relative to where the throttle position sensor is. I will loosen those two bolts, tap the starter. As I twist the throttle position sensor, you can see the value on the multimeter changes. I want that value to be a 0.40. Once I got that set, I will tighten those two bolts back up. Make sure it's still good. Close enough. Remove the paper clips and pop this cover back on. As you can see with this spark plug, this was the replacement plug I had in it and it is very black. I will be spraying those off in the sandblast cabinet with some glass beads to clean them up, and I'll throw them back in the bike. I'll turn on the cold start knob after I got these all set and listen to her run. Well, that's going to do it for today's excitement. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your friends, and I will see you next time.